behind the scenes of today's joint practices. The 49ers hosting the Titans before their preseason opener on Thursday. Coach Kyle Shanahan plans to coach in the contest as he continues to recover from a car accident. Also, star running back Christian McCaffrey missed another practice today, and Shanahan was asked today about his level of concern. Take a listen.
My concern would be him toughing through tightness like a lot of people do, and then hurting something bad and pulling something, which then it could be a month. So that would be our concern. So once we hear him talking a certain way, Christian's a guy who needs to get prepared for week one. But also we're pretty confident what he's done before this. We're confident what he's done in these 2 weeks, and we just want to make sure that we don't make it something to be concerned about.
Adam, another day, another injury situation in San Francisco. Any updates on the health of this 49ers team?
Well, we know that Christian McCaffrey obviously is dealing with some muscle soreness, and he knows his body better than anybody. So they're being smart a month out of the opener in Australia against the Rams. They're not going to force him into anything going on out there right now with him feeling a little bit of discomfort. Meanwhile, veteran wide receiver Mike Evans returned to practice today, was doing some individual drills, so that's an encouraging sign for a 49ers team that's had a whole boatload of injuries. You see all the players who have missed practice time this summer during training camp. There have been a lot of them. To get a dose of good news, like Mike Evans being back, even if Christian McCaffrey is not practicing, is a step in the right direction for this team this summer.
Yeah, with Ricky Pearsall out for the rest of the season, a new wide receiver in the building that the Niners are really going to depend on is rookie DeJon Stribling. Field, I know that we both really like him. So how much of an impact do you see him having in year one?
Well, Molly, I would have had a different answer if you asked me that question on May 1st. Would it look like the Niners would have Ricky Pearsall and Mike Evans and Christian Kirk were still healthy and not missing time during training camp? Here's what I like about DeJon Stribling. This was a guy who, for much of last season, fit into the classic height, weight, speed mold, but he turned it on for Ole Miss down the stretch. You were covering some of those playoff games where he was one of the best players on the field in games filled with future NFL prospects. Played 5 years of college football, so he is an experienced guy who should understand the nuances of the NFL offenses a little bit better than your typical rookie. That being said, this team needs Mike Evans and/or Christian Kirk and Deebo Samuel to have a legitimate impact this year. It's just the reality of where this Niners team is within its own division. They have the two teams that I believe deserve to be viewed as the best in the NFL, and the Seahawks and the Rams in the NFC West. These veterans better find a way to hold up their end of the bargain, Mina.
Yeah, boy, this Niners injury list is tough.
It's every year.
I'll start here with some optimism. I think Christian McCaffrey, to me, is the one player where as long as he is available to them, I believe this offense can be efficient. And not because of the run game, actually, but because of the optionality he provides and the way it forces defenses to sort of play left-handed by putting an extra linebacker on the field when they put the fullback on the field. This is a team that will continue to live in 21 personnel. And when teams face them with their base defense, they'll find ways to throw on it. What I wonder, though, Field, is where the explosives will come from. That was what I was so optimistic about with Ricky Pearsall as the Z receiver. I thought, okay, you have Mike Evans as your boundary guy, your red zone threat, but Pearsall to me was the one where I thought downfield could really take the top off the defense. Without him, I do worry a little bit about whether or not this offense can be as explosive as I thought. I think it can be efficient, no doubt, and Kyle Shanahan, I will never bet on him calling an efficient and successful offense, but whether or not it can reach its ceiling to me is dubious now with some of these injuries.
Field, do you have
I would say, Molly, if I had to guess where the explosives come from, Mina, is you're right. I'm not sure they're going to be amongst the league leaders there. To me, the best shot of optimism for explosives for San Francisco is probably scheme, right? Kyle Shanahan still finds a way every game to put a defense in a blender, and it may be an unsuspecting receiver who delivers that explosive play, but that is part of the brilliance of what Kyle Shanahan has been as a play caller in his career.
We'll see. It could be rookie DeJon Stribling.
Yeah.
49ers definitely need the help. All right, coming up, the Cowboys have reloaded on defense, but what's going to be key if they want to get the most out of these new pieces? We're going to discuss that next. Live, and hello to our viewers joining us on ESPN. We are taking you to training camps all over the country, and the Patriots hosting the Colts in joint practices today. The two teams scrimmage in Foxborough ahead of their first preseason game on Thursday. And Pats QB Drake Maye spoke about the team's joint practice with the Colts this afternoon. Take a listen.
think you just learn about, who's kind of stepping up to the occasion. I think, a lot of the guys responded today, and I think, a lot of different guys made plays. A lot of guys in the red zone were making plays, and I think you just see, time and time again when we can use everybody, how hard it is on the defense.
Talk about making plays, and then there was this play at camp today that got the people talking. Check out A.J. Brown beating Sauce Gardner in a one-on-one today. Sauce chimed in on X after practice, tweeting, all this from a one-on-one rep and an 8-yard sit route at that. It's a reason that's the only one y'all saw. Okay, Sauce with the response. No one likes to get embarrassed, especially when there are cameras around. Mina, the Patriots setting up Drake Maye for success with a beefed-up wide receiver room this year. They just got the best of Sauce today. How can this help Maye kind of elevate his game even more?
Well, look, Sauce is right. You don't want to put too much on a single clip of one-on-one, but I do think you can actually draw a line between what you see from AJ there and what I felt was missing in the Patriots receiver room during the postseason, which was a receiver who could beat press coverage consistently. It felt like there was a lack of physicality as well and a red zone threat, and A.J. Brown solves all three of the problems I just laid out. I do think it's also a really well-crafted room. Pairing him with Romeo Doubs, Chase, to me, is a wonderful pairing of receiving skill sets where AJ, in addition to the things that I just mentioned, can also work the inside of the field. Think about his Tennessee days. He was so good on those crossers and digs. And Doubs, excellent against zone coverage, also excellent on outbreakers. So I think they've given Drake Maye a multitude of answers to problems that defenses can pose to them that perhaps he didn't have last season, particularly did not have in the postseason where I thought it was really exposed.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Look, we all know Drake Maye is a bona fide franchise quarterback. And to me, he made the biggest jump I've seen in a long time from rookie to second year. But as the season progressed and they kept winning these games and everyone wants to talk about the schedule, he needed some help around him. I don't think there's been a more improved roster, specifically at the receiver room and offensive line room through draft and free agency. I mean, you go out, obviously you draft Caleb Lomu, you trade for A.J. Brown, you sign Elijah Vera Tucker to have that left guard spot, and then Romeo Doubs, as you mentioned, in free agency. But let's make no mistake about it, I know we've talked about this ad nauseum. Like, A.J. Brown is a bona fide #1 receiver. 6 of his 7 years in the NFL, over 1,000 yards. And he had 32 touchdowns in 4 years in Philly, and I still think he was underutilized in that pass game. So you put him with Drake Maye and everything that they're doing offensively, it's going to be a huge step because, like you said, you're going to ISO him, Field, right? You're going to put him on the left side of the field alone. You're going to put all these other guys on the right side, 3x1, 2x2, whatever it may be, motion them. And when he starts getting enough attention in double covering, that's where Romeo Doubs and Pop Douglas are going to come into play. So I like what the Patriots have done with the roster, and I think it'll be interesting to see just the ways that they utilize A.J. Brown, not just ISOing him, but moving him around the formation as well.
Optimistic, excited to see what A.J. Brown looks like in New England, but I'll continue to come back to the same thing I have felt is the most important element for success for the Patriots this year. It's the offensive line. You can look at it through two different lenses. On the one hand, the Patriots might have 4 players that could be longtime pillars for them along the offensive line that right now are 25 years or younger. We don't see that very often in the NFL. The problem is those 4 players each have a question mark associated with them. Elijah Vera Tucker, who you just mentioned, Chase, has been a guy who, when he's been available, is an all-pro level player. He hasn't been available nearly enough. Will Campbell and Jared Wilson played meaningful. They played gigantic snaps through the postseason. And the Patriots' offensive line was their Achilles heel in the Super Bowl. Caleb Lomu, who they drafted in the first round this past year, has plenty of talent, but we got to see exactly what his role is for New England. If the offensive line holds up its end of the bargain, Drake Maye will be right back in the mix for all-pro consideration this upcoming year, and A.J. Brown will mash. But when they play these difficult tests, and they start with the Seahawks 4 weeks from tomorrow night, we'll have a very clear view of whether this Patriots offensive line is ready for prime time.
Yeah, you're right, Field. Drake Maye has so many weapons to play with this year, but the health of that offensive line is really going to dictate his success, as we saw, you said, in the Super Bowl. Yes, all right, let's get to some more top stories with Adam Schefter. Schefter, we got some quarterback news in Minnesota today. What should we know?
Molly, the Minnesota Vikings have named Kyler Murray the starting quarterback in Minnesota. He handpicked that organization. We kind of knew that it would come down that way, but it was made official today with Kevin O'Connell informing the team this afternoon that J.J. McCarthy would be the starting quarterback, and he's named the starter before they even play a preseason game. Meanwhile, the Baltimore Ravens cornerback Nate Wiggins was carted off the field today. I'm told he still hasn't had the MRI yet, but there is optimism that it is not a serious injury. Obviously, he'll go through testing before they reach any definitive conclusions. But right now, I'm told by one person he's fine. I'm told by another they're optimistic, so that is encouraging. In Los Angeles, Miles